Hey, it's summertime. Welcome to Best Friends. We're looking at kitties, and all of the kitties are shedding now because it's summertime. And, I'm going to be wearing an awful lot of hair before the program's over. Summertime presents some really interesting sorts of challenges when you are an animal person. One of them is summer vacation. The kids are home. And people are taking trips. The being home kind of thing means that doors get open more frequently and more animals are out doing animal things and at large. So be very, very sure that you have identification on your pets. If you do, then we can get them back to you. Remember, the little guys aren't going to tell us where they live. And so if you have either a microchip or you have, that's a microchip with current information, please, or a license or tag on them, something that gives us a clue. We're not psychic. Sometimes we even have trouble with the written word, so we need help. And having identification on your pet is the best thing that you can do for it, because your next door neighbor can read that and get them home. They don't even have to come all the way to the shelter. If you have a microchip on them, that's terrific, but your neighbor can't scan them. So it's best if you have external ID. If that's not possible, then a microchip is a good bet. And a microchip is always terrific backup ID. Be sure that you're getting a microchip that the shelter scanners will read. There are some new ones on the market that our scanners will not pick up, and that keeps them from being particularly effective. We're going to start with this little fella because at the minute he's not actually up in our adoption room, although he will be soon. He is back in our stray area, but we wanted you to see him, first of all, because he is shedding clouds of fur, which is also very typical of summertime. Animals need to be brushed a lot more in the summer, or at least in the early summer. And he also has like 108 toes and has a terrific personality. He is just a wonderful kitty. Show them how cute you are. Show them? No? You're going to turn a somersault? That would be nice. He does that. And, oh, look at that. And he has many, many toes on each foot. Of course, this is what we call polydactyl, which just means many toes. And sometimes I have one of these guys, an orange tabby with all those toes. I really think that maybe they skimped on the gray matter and gave them toes instead, because they can be some pretty weird cats. A lot of fun, though. Opposable thumbs give you all sorts of power. They can take off window screens and open doors, open cabinets. Just more talented than many of their standard toed companions. This is Buttercup, who is not appropriately named. I think it really should have been Butterball. But cholesterol consumption aside, this is a great cat. In fact, she uses her claws so little that we actually thought she was declawed. She can hardly be persuaded to extend her claws. She has a wonderful windowsill setting personality, provided you have very large windowsills. This cat is not going to fit on one that's narrow. A couch would be a good alternative. She would appreciate it if you have a nice, soft, comfy one. She will chase a mouse, our volunteer says, if you bring it over to her on a leash. But beyond that, she's not going to do it. She will play, sort of. Mostly, she likes games that involve catnip and being petted. And remember, her name is Buttercup. She probably could stand a diet, but she won't be a real happy cat if you put her on one. So, you know, you have to balance that. She is so cute. I do know, too, that she does tend to be a fairly dominant cat in a household. And if you have a particularly submissive cat at home, she will not let them eat. She's kind of resource protective, and her most prized resource is food. So if she would fit in your household, you would be a lucky person, because she's a great cat. This is a true Indiana Jones cat. He doesn't have a cool hat, but he is an explorer. He really loves to abandon the cat room and go checking out the rest of the shelter. And he would just as soon see the world upside down as right side up. He is already neutered. He plays a little bit rough, so probably would not be a good kitty for toddlers, because when you stop petting him, he tends to grab your hand and drag it back, like, don't stop. It does real well with kids that are like about 9 and 10, and has seemed particularly fond of little boys. He is, if he would turn around so you can see his face, his eyes are wonderful. They match his beautiful orange coat. Hey, you, the camera's over this way. No? There we go. A very handsome boy. And a great cat for an active family. This is Henry. Henry loves to be petted. We don't know quite what is up with Henry. He's had 3 different families who wanted to adopt him, and 3 different times things have fallen through no fault whatsoever of Henry's. Henry is a great cat. He does give love bites, but he doesn't break the skin. It's just a cat behavior. And many male cats do that. If you have one, you know how true that is. Actually, my polydactyl orange tabby at home doesn't stop with just gentle ones. He will crank it up until you're bleeding. This one does not do that, which is nice. Owning a pet really shouldn't involve physical injury. This one is a very short hair. His coat is very easy care. It's the kind of short hair that has a lot of guard hair in it, which is the outside hair in a coat, so that when the, see, love bite, when the fur lies down, the guard hairs lie on the outside. And then if you brush the other way, you'll see kind of the fuzzy undercoat. Gesundheit. He got catnip up his nose. I think Henry's a great kitty. And of course, now he's going to be all full of catnip as well as fur. This is a medium-haired, neutered male, black, and he's kind of funny. The paperwork on his cage says no young children, but what we've found is that he seems to like little boys, but is not real fond of little girls. And that's kind of strange. Normally, animals gravitate toward girls, but you never know what an animal's background is, and if he's had an experience that wasn't great. They do remember. You know, they have a terrific memory. They just don't have a lot of imagination. Does love the catnip. But this is a nice cat. A good family cat. I think to be on the safe side, if you have very young children, I would look for a different kitty. But older grade school kids would do well with this guy. He's very playful, and he's very easy to keep. You'll notice as I'm brushing him, which he absolutely loves, he has a coat that doesn't mat particularly, and he likes being brushed, which is always a good relationship tool with a cat if you have one that likes being brushed. And the thing of it is, his coat is really interesting. It has the kind of the cocoa brown in it, which can be a nutritional deficiency caused by that, and it may be that when he's on food, good food, for a longer period of time, his coat's going to even out to be solid black, but that may not ever happen because there's a genetic component to that too. I think he's just a really neat guy. This little girl is solid black, beautiful green eyes. She came into us with a whole litter of kittens, and she did a great job of raising them out in foster care. And all of her kittens have been adopted, and now it's her turn. And I think she'd be a great cat in any family. It doesn't matter what kind of configuration it is. It would be about the only thing I can say is in some elder households, if they have difficulty seeing, a black cat isn't a great idea because you can trip over them without seeing them. But I find that I can trip over mine and I can see them perfectly well. I just have to look. And so, she would probably be a great cat in almost any household. She's such a sweet thing. Very gentle. And not too flappable. I mean, having raised an entire litter of kittens, she's probably kind of happy to see them off and in their own homes now. This is a medium-haired, gray, neutered male. You know what? I'm not sure that it's going to matter what you do with this cat's coat. He's always going to look like he just got out of bed. It has that funny kind of rough texture to it. Not that it mats very well or very dreadfully. And he does need to be brushed. He's not grooming as well, or maybe he is, and the fur just doesn't respond to it much. Nutrition is going to be what makes the difference for this guy. He needs a really good quality of food that's very low on any kind of grain, and he probably needs some oil, preferably like one of the fish oil type things added to his diet that are the omega-3s. This would make a huge difference in his coat over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight, but over a year's time it makes a lot of difference. You know, cats can eat salmon in the Northwest. Dogs should never ever eat salmon here unless it has been canned. Because there is a parasite that lives in the salmon or trout in general that lives in the nerve endings and causes salmon sickness. There are people that confuse that with salmonella. It's totally different. It's actually a parasite, but it will kill a dog. Cats don't seem to be particularly affected by it. And this guy would fit in any household. This is just a great, confident cat. He's going to be one that is going to get along with just about anybody. He's not particularly threatened by anything, and he just loves people. This, what is it? Male? Female? Female. Okay. This little girl is a really pretty brown tabby. She is a kitty that came to us off the streets, as it were. She was a stray. She has some absolutely beautiful markings on her head. They look almost like a scarab beetle or something, and very exotic. She has a 3/4 length tail. Well, not even 3/4 length. It's more like a longish bunny tail. But I don't say she's truly a Manx. There are several cats. I mean, it can be a genetic characteristic in a lot of different types of cats to have a shortened tail length. But she's really very sweet. She came in with a lot of fleas and some other challenges, and all of that has been taken care of, and she would make a great pet. Don't think she'd make a very good outdoor cat. She's a little bit on the jumpy side, and loud noises and things like that are going to really disturb her, so she will take off. And there's no point in having a pet if it's living under your neighbor's house. You need one that will be with you. That's the whole idea, right? Yes. Yes, indeed. This is a neutered male. He is a really rather large cat, very solid. He's probably going to pack on weight as he gets older. He is, I think, just precious. He's very confident, very outgoing. He was brought to us, though, as a feral cat. That happens a lot here. I don't understand exactly what it is that people think of in terms of feral. It's a more complex issue than just a word. You can't label a cat as feral and say that you know everything about the cat. That just isn't how it works. This guy clearly has had contact with people. I mean, even as he's playing with me right now, he's gentle. And he is one who has understands and values that bond with people. There are cats who don't. There are cats who fear of people far outbalances their willingness to be with them, and yet some of those are even reachable. I just don't see anything about this cat that tells me that he wasn't bonded with humans in whatever life he came from. Feral for us is really more a set of behaviors that tell us that if you put it in a cage and people reach toward it, someone's going to get hurt, and it probably won't be the cat. So there are a lot of different facets to that term. It's not a simple thing. I know, yes. This is a beautiful brown tabby bicolor. He's just a gorgeous guy. He has a great coat. Clearly enjoys his catnip, as you can see. Just stay with us, and we're going to go visit the dogs. This is, actually, she's just an older puppy. She is female, and clearly she has pit in there somewhere. She's mixed with something else. We're not sure what. Could be a number of things. Or, you know, maybe one or two, and several of them were pit. I don't know. But she's a sweet girl. High energy. She would need to go to a home that has a minimum 5-foot fence, preferably, yes, smooth side in. and no other female dogs in the household. People ask us about that a lot, and the reason is because all of our bully breeds, like her, well, not all of them, but pits are particularly notorious for having gender aggression issues. You know, you see that even in people sometimes. Nobody wants to admit it, but it's true. Dogs are just a lot more open and honest about that stuff. The thing is, they're also willing to take it to the mat, and you don't want to go off to work and come home to clearly an injured second dog, because pits don't even necessarily start fights, but they certainly do finish them. And they're very persistent, and where this dog has some terrific positives like loyalty and bravery and the fact that she is very stoic. You know, it's very easy to treat a pit bull. They also have some things that you just watch out for. And it would be the same no matter what kind of terrier you got or what kind of terrier was in your family. It's just a terrier characteristic. This is Sandy. Sandy is a very squirmy Jack Russell. She's a wire-haired Jack Russell. She is 3 years old, I believe. She is already spayed. She is, she always reminds me of Brownian motion. If you know anything about that, it's like molecular motion where they bounce off the sides of the container and each other. Well, that's what they do. This is like exposed nerve with hair. She has some really good traits, though. She does very well with children. She does not do well with cats. She will eat them, which is not a good thing in a family that has a cat. She was placed for adoption because look at her. I mean, what is not to be adoptable? She's the right size. She has a great coat. She's purebred. She's just beautiful. But the child in the family was horrendously allergic to her. Ended up in the hospital, not for any fault of the dog. The dog didn't do it. And so, bearing in mind that if you want a dog in your family and you are prepared for terrierist behaviors, then this might be the right dog for you. She is great on walks. She will build loyalty. Yes, she is going to be death on small animals, so don't think you're going to have any in your yard. She's just a great little dog. But she's a terrier, you know, give her credit for all of those traits. Has to have a fenced yard. We're not through looking at our dogs yet, but it's important, and I want to make sure you're still there, and I know you'll wait for the last dog. Summertime means open windows. It means more people hearing barking than there have been before. It means that more people are going to be taking longer trips or staying out later and leaving their dog in the yard or in the kennel or in some circumstance that leaves the dog uncomfortable with its surroundings and willing to bark. There are some things that you can do. The primary one would be letting your neighbor know that the dog is barking, what time it's barking, what's going on with it. And people are not likely to receive that very comfortably unless you have a good relationship with your neighbor already. We have a pamphlet available at the shelter about barking that might help you with this. We also could suggest letting somebody know the first time and offering things that they might be able to do about it. And yes, I know it's not your responsibility as an aggrieved party to offer solutions to the owner, but at the same time, at least it would convey that you are collaborative and helping them with a problem solving that is actually more your problem than theirs at the time it's happening, because you are the one that is hearing the barking, where the neighbor may not, the dog owner may not hear it at all because they're gone. They may not even know it's happening. Now, some people are very willing to take whatever steps are needed, either providing visual barriers or moving the dog or making sure that it's not out during those times or something of that sort. On our website, though, if a problem persists beyond your being able to deal with it or beyond your homeowners association being able to help you with it, on our jointanimalservices.org website, there is a log that you can complete that tells us the time and the duration of the barking, if you can remember to do that. Because, you see, that's the threshold for barking that isn't legal. All dogs bark. We expect dogs to bark. That's their voice, it's their form of communication. But if you have an understanding of what habitual or persistent barking is, and by completing a log you can do that, or just filling in squares in a calendar, that helps. Whatever it is that you do, have that information available to us, and we will do our best to help you with the problem. In county, you can initially contact us, and we will make sure that this is on the record, and then go from there to decide what county may be able to do. In the cities, we handle the legal aspect of the barking ourselves here at Animal Services. So I hope it helps you. I hope that the information that you will find on our website, because the pamphlets are posted there as well, will be helpful to you. It's a miserable thing to have to go without sleep and have to face a stressful day at work the next day. I know that. We all know that. But problem solving and collaboration is the way to go, rather than attacking your neighbor. So let us help. We'll do our best. And now we have a puppy. See, this is what you've been waiting for. A huggable, wonderful puppy. There are 4 of these little guys. They're pit bulls. And yes, we do require the fence, even though they're puppies, because you know what? They grow quickly. We have all of them, though, that look almost identical to this one. So if you've seen one, you know what the rest look like. Very cute is how they look. Very cute is how they act, too. Yes. You raise them in a loving home and give them opportunities to experience all kinds of things, and you're started on the right track. Get them into training when you can. Make sure they're healthy and have all of their shots. And, of course, these are too young, or when at this particular point they have not been spayed or neutered, but they will be. And you'd be set for life. Good puppy. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Come and see me.